I've seen it grow tremendously. This year has truly epitomized what I believe the original objective and vision was at the beginning. We have gone from 30 students to 60 students. I see it only growing. I'm so excited for the future of the Summer Youth Business and Entrepreneurship Academy.
Without business, nothing could go on in the world. Business keeps the world running.
Reading through the program and what the program was about was very appealing to us. And now that we are here, the layout of it, the people that are involved, the sponsors, it just seems very unique.
We want to see that they are going back and they're passionate about owning their own businesses.
I take business classes at my school, so I pretty much know how to make one, but I want to know how to run one and see how it works successfully.
I know I have a lot of ideas that come to me constantly. Hopefully one day, I can put one of these ideas to the test.
I want to get my Doctor of Pharmacy degree and my Master's in Business.
I like to own a chemical company.
I want to own my own business. It's come to NCCU, a study for business. I definitely want to be an entrepreneur, and I know that for a fact.
I want to be an architectural engineer.
I would like to own my own hotels.
I want to own my own animation studio.
The thing that sounds interesting to me would be to get a JD MBA. Moving around and being able to have like a fresh surrounding for a new lecture, to meet a new person, and traveling. It really shows you what business will actually be like. I know my dad goes around on business trips as well with his.
My son, I'm very glad that he had the opportunity to participate in this program, something I would love to have had at his age. And even now, when we saw the orientation, my wife and I told him that if he thought about backing out, that we'd come and do it for him.
I feel like this will help build up that leadership that I see in him. Because of the fact that he wants to do so many different things, I feel like this program will really kind of guide him in maybe becoming an entrepreneur or whatever he wants to do in life.
I feel like I'm a born leader. Looking at the way my parents are, ever since I was younger, I was always the one chosen to do things too. So we're here because everybody's a leader in their own way. When you come together, all the ideas are flying around, and it might make you uncomfortable. But the one you grow as a person is if you're uncomfortable.
Did some research, checked into it, close contact with Ms. Keisha Williams, who's heading the program up. A lot of back and forth, different questions.
You could have done almost anything you wanted to do this summer, but you chose to spend these 2 weeks with us, and it's so good for them to get this exposure early, because what we know in academic research and everything else is that the students who get that early are the ones who perform better and have the best experience once they finish.
We hired 11 staff members to manage the day-to-day activities of the student. They were people with whom we truly trusted. We hired a director of staff and activities, who's Dr. John Slade. He came to us with a lot of experience in these types of academies, and I think the students have gotten so much from their interactions.
I love working with high school kids. I really do enjoy building the future.
They're motivated, they're driven, they want to do something, they want to make a difference.
A program like this is part of a student's development. A big part of this process was team building, and I just wanted to be sure that all students knew that whether they were quiet, whether they were outgoing, and whether they had a strength in this area or that one, that everybody is of some value.
I came to this program to not only gain leadership skills, but presentation skills, because I know we would have to do a case study. It's hard for me to talk, basically, when I'm under pressure. More shy than anything, just trying to make sure I have everything ready, prepared, memorized.
Owning your own business and starting your own business is what you should really look forward to in life, so that I can work for myself and I can build my own dream.
With the emphasis being on hospitality and tourism, and the School of Business having such a robust and successful hospitality and tourism concentration, we were able to pull in-house from our own advisory board.
Hospitality crosses every aspect of your life. The bloodline of hospitality is good customer service. We are preparing students to manage business enterprises within the hospitality and tourism industry.
This industry is one of those things that it's all about customer service. You're with the customer every day, and that is, you know, what depends on whether or not you make it or not. Now you think Apple, the guy making that phone is never going to see the person using that phone. Here, you're serving the person that's paying the money. You have direct interaction with the end user. How many campuses in the United States, as a percentage, do you think have a contract food service doing their dining? Just yell something out. You said 95, 94, 95, that's about right. I deal a lot of time with a lot of planning, a lot of forward looking. So like right now we have Starbucks on campus, a Wow, a Pizza Hut, and Subway. All those, we own that franchise. The average Subway in the street only does about $8,000 a week in business. That may sound like a lot, but it's really not a lot. All right, we opened ours and we did $35,000 the first week. We became number 2 in the state. So those other industries you guys want to be in are basically stealing and getting ideas from hospitality, because hospitality touches their customers directly and most industries don't. So something to think about is you spend the next couple of weeks and you go up to DC and you see all those things. You can apply that to what you want to do, even if it's not hospitality.
This year, we thought it would be such a cool experience for the students to have a live case study, while being able to include a lot of the components that they learned throughout the course of the 2 weeks. All of that needed to come into this assessment. We began to do a lot of research about various businesses and corporations within the area, to where we felt that the students would not only receive kind of an out-of-the-box type of an experience, but it would be something that we knew that they may not be overly familiar with. And so with the North Carolina Symphony, we felt that that would be such an amazing partnership to have them help us identify how we can best be of service to them.
How do we get millennials in the door? Why do you need them? It's to grow the audience of the future. Number one thing is who's performing and what we're performing. Our programming is the most consistent indicator if I'm going to sell tickets or not.
Knowing what the demographics are going to be of the country going forward, they're going to have to be able to address the needs of a new demographic. This is the first state in the union that made a pledge of supporting the symphony on an ongoing basis. The symphony was actually formed in 1932, right in the heart of the Depression. So in the case study, I gave the students a significant overview of the history of this great organization, because I wanted them to realize that this was not a fly-by-night operation. You may say, well, who would ever think that? Even with the most recent economic decline, many symphonies around the country have gone out of business. Going forward, how are they going to enhance their marketability? So we got to think about, what is this symphony built on? What is it going to take for it to stand long term? And then really have the students focus on the future.
The first responsibility of a business is to stay in existence. So you want to think of gambling in that context. It's only ticket sales type revenues that you can create a marketing plan around.
You have to spend money.
On the other, right, it takes money to make money on the other side. Like, if we're gonna make them more money in the long run, then they can just bite the bullet and take the loss in the first year.
This is good work because you generate the ideas, but people don't know where to listen and participate from because folks aren't clear what their role is.
Like you said, there's like a stigma with going to the symphony. So if you get a symphony, maybe to like host events or actually go out in the community more of than trying to get them to come.
Rephrase what they, how they want you to think
go.
of it, and think of it as like, how can you keep the elegance of the symphony without changing the image?
Classical music has influenced everything that we've seen, and lots of people don't listen to it because they think of, you know, really slow violin playing.
As you may not realize how influential classical music is to rap, to rock, to any of these genres.
Rappers and worldwide use classical music as their base sometimes. So how could we like inspire younger people to follow that?
Think about it like this: using classical music as a basis to teach these millennials that our music comes from this. So that's going to be our angle. You're learning how to be your role. You're learning that if you're a leader, you be the leader, or you're a facilitator, you be the facilitator.
The case study has actually been a great challenge for me because it's a mixture of different people and different minds.
Well, if you really want something, you sort of have to like fight for it. because we were just like arguing about like how to introduce our PowerPoint.
But as long as it's an event, it's an event. Just like a symphony is an event. But she was bringing people for free.
Maybe they could do a one free show.
That's when you want to charge, because that's when you're getting your money.
Even them just throwing us in a team, it really taught us how to adapt to people real quick, because you have to do that. So what do you think we should do?
Just say what you want to say.
I didn't even want to charge for Carnival. I wanted Carnival to put the symphony out there, basically.
I don't even know how you do that, because they have one for.
Stop stealing our stuff.
That's not funny.
One idea that someone might contradict what somebody else has, but that compromise, that's what really is the great thing that's happening.
Create all new social media or just build on what they have already and make some tweaks.
We don't definitely want to put like all of our energy into one type of advertisement.
When you think about basketball, if you think about a certain team, think about your favorite player on that team. So like if people go see the Cavaliers, they're not really going to see the Cavaliers, they're going to go see LeBron James. And so the idea of having emerging stars, like first chair, second chair, so people can put a face to the organization.
I love the idea of social media. You won't believe how many young people I'm coaching that don't bring that up in a business context. They all think of it as personal, but it's business. And only about 50% of businesses have a digital marketing plan.
Big data is definitely where it's going. Even having the information, holding the information, housing the information. Using some of the companies that brought up to be able to take this information and get insights from it.
So we were number 3 in the world, actually. Number 1 in the country for our first quarter. That's pretty remarkable. Number 1 in the world was a theater in Mexico. Number 2 was the Royal Albert Hall in London.
The event staff, the people who are handling everything that's not on the stage. So anything that's in here, seating people, anything that's out there, getting them to their seats, ringing the bells, getting them there on time. There's 35 people on staff for one show.
We employ over 200 part-time employees and about 20 to 30 full-time. So at any time we can have, I would say 150 to 200 people here at one time being paid.
One of the accounts I used to work at is Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. That's where the Nashville Predators play. And to cut on the arena lights, just the lights itself, was $15,000. Just imagine the infrastructure, everything that's going on, takes a lot.
So if a show doesn't sell and you guys lose money, do they pay you to make up for what you lost or no?
From my standpoint, I never lose money. It's just one of those things where I'm always going to take a percentage of something. And so within that, it's just managing your controllables, your costs, your overhead.
The ushers and the directional and the ticket takers, we can adjust numbers depending on ticket sales.
We look at a lot of history. And from that financial history is where we actually start producing. Then I break each event down to its own category.
There's a really cool company by the name of TRG that a lot of these nonprofits have started working with like 5 years ago, okay? All they do is collect data of like ticket sales, how many people came on what day and all that type of stuff. That's the best way of predicting it. Looking at it, just like Alfred was saying, looking at what you did in the past, what you're offering now. Are there any, like, your biggest show 2 years ago? Do you have anything like that coming?
So the American Underground is a campus for entrepreneurs. So what we try to do is help companies right when they're getting started. You have to be around other people who are going to inspire you and challenge you.
If you have an idea and you take it seriously and you want to do it, is that you really have to be smart about the choices that you're making leading up to that point. I have a lot of friends that say, oh, I have this idea, I would love to do it. I can't because I have all this debt. I've got, you know, this card that I got a year ago. I've got to pay off these credit cards. As soon as I get straight with all that, I'll be able to take this idea more seriously.
Y'all heard or learned about the hockey stick in business? Do you know what I'm talking about? It kind of goes like this. What it's measuring is usually for a lot of companies when they get started, they start with a little bit of revenue or a little bit of initial investment, but then they go downward because they've got to put more money into the company to get customers, right? And then usually what happens is they get to a point where that sort of levels out and they figure out how to get customers without having to spend so much money, and they go back up the curve and start becoming profitable. We've got great schools like Central and others that are spurring entrepreneurship and people creating companies in their community.
I would say the one thing is just belief. Belief in yourself, belief in whatever the product or the vision that you have. And when you believe in something and you truly believe in it, someone can look in your eyes and see that, and they can hear your voice and feel your energy, that's what's going to make them believe.
It's challenging to
drives passion, but the way to do it is for you yourself to be passionate.
As entrepreneurs or future entrepreneurs, really think about why you're doing what you're doing, the why behind that.
Not talking about always the nuts and bolts of what you sometimes hear. We're talking about some of these essences, the energy that you convey, the relationships that you build, the authenticity around your business, the passion. That's what kind of separates you from the crowd.
The American Underground, it was amazing to me see all these people together working on their businesses and so inspired.
Seeing people who are like young, actual entrepreneurs, it was kind of like it made it more real.
I think I'm gonna walk away with a lot. You know, they talked about marketing and budgeting and networking, and we've talked to so many like professional people, and they've told us their stories, and it's just like an inspiration. Like, it makes you want to be, you know, just like them.
Just excited to learn about more business and just take a break because we've been working hard this week, you know.
I'm looking forward to going to Seattle Monuments again, seeing the Martin Luther King monuments and just seeing all the history, just exploring it because I've never been to DC before, and I'm very thankful for this experience.
Going home, yes sir, I love DC. I can't wait to go back. It's great experience. Yeah, I just can't wait to go back home.
We're gonna have like a little special dinner at the hotel. We're gonna get all nice and dressy.
Being able to go somewhere different from where you're from and seeing more things and being able to apply what you learn from there later on.
With my case study, it'll show me how different businesses use hospitality.
And I've been there in a while, so it should be nice to see all the sites again. Some new ones. I haven't been to the National Museum. So.
I'm ready to go see the White House, the zoo, King's Dominion, everything.
I'm getting to see all the business that goes around. At the Chili Bowl, we were there and I got to see the story of how that was open and all the struggle that it went through to stay open. One of the most impactful was when we were at the White House and I'm like, I am this far away from the president.
To see the appreciation of this experience on their faces was just priceless to me.
I've never been here before, or a really big city like this, and it's very different from where I'm from. I'm from a small town, less than 10,000 people, not as many opportunities. Really, it showed me that there's more opportunities out there than I originally thought.
We got a lot of ideas of how to advertise, and when we talked to the man at Bing's Chili Bowl, he talked about treating everybody with the same level of respect, no matter who you are.
I learned that even like the smallest businesses can grow really rapidly and spread across large areas and essentially like become part of the community.
Trying to figure out how to broaden our crowd. That's something we really couldn't get, and coming here I think really helped us because we understand what people would enjoy and what they would like, because it's so busy here and they have such a large group of people that would come and visit, and that's what we need to figure out how to do.
I think this is one of the best examples we've had so far of hospitality and tourism. Whenever you can meet the satisfaction of your customers, you're running a great business.
So, why are you guys here? I never heard about entrepreneurship at your age. Why are you here?
Because I think it would be beneficial for me in the future to know as much as I can, and this is a great place to get started.
I knew when I entered the workforce, when I finished my doctorate, I said 2 to 3 years max, I'm working for somebody else and then I'm going out on my own. I talked about connection. You should be able to have a point of connection with everyone. Pull out 1 or 2 things that you could say to me about what you just saw in that profile. Yes, ma'am.
You could be like, I admire how you've been around for 41 years and helped over 24,000 students.
Okay. And who was that person?
The founder.
The founder?
Or the CEO.
Business world, you meet people from all over the world, and it helps you develop the people skills to be able to talk to everybody.
Talking to the entrepreneurs that came here and learning their struggles and their hardships and learning from that.
We're actually learning a lot more about life and how they were able to come, you know, their experience through life, things I can apply to my future.
Think about the places you want to go or you want to be, and do the work.
I thought it would be an amazing opportunity for the students to actually experience a symphony performance. I actually had a chance to tour the facility that the symphony was housed, really allowed them to have kind of a heightened experience.
I'm just ready to see all the instruments working together. I've never been to a symphony, so it should be a great experience.
Well, I'm very excited to go because I want to see Boys to Men, and I think it'll be interesting to see what type of crowds are going to be at the symphony tonight.
Since I was a musician, I didn't really have a problem with the symphony in general. because I usually play classical music.
And so I've heard a lot of songs played, a lot of modern songs played with classical instruments. And I feel like if they incorporated that into the orchestra, that can change the way that people think of the symphony and think of classical music in general.
Look now is more traditional or get towards an older audience. One thing that we focus on mainly is re-imaging.
It's hard to come up with an original solution that's going to work. So what I think it comes down to is how well they present it.
The case study isn't really about the product, it's about the how. You don't want to just be focused on getting people to the symphony, you want people to be able to experience the symphony.
They could see not only what it takes to put on a production of this magnitude, but they actually got to feel it. They got to feel what it feels like as a consumer.
Although we go to the end of the road.
I learned that yesterday. Why is there a pen on this thing if it's not touchscreen?
I really do try to pinpoint when I can say, I think we have reached success. And there I am with 4 or 5 young men intensely discussing what they had just heard. One saying, you know, now that I understand this, I think I've got to go back and talk to my team. We've got to change our presentation. We've got to add this part.
We also have future plans of creating a performance which is electrical instruments versus traditional.
We would start with more local North Carolina celebrities because they would be more likely to promote it for a lower cost.
They're going to be judging you also on your presentation, so how you're presenting. You were clear, you were concise, you cut it down, it was perfect. The 3 things that we had to work on, perfect.
I'm going to have one slide that shows people who like classical music and don't know the symphony, because those are all their potential customers.
For me, it was just like growth and experience. We thought we were going to be the last group to present, and so our presentation was basically set for last. And then,
this is our luck we have it.
Yep, us just having the luck we have, we ended up going number 1. We're the first ones to go.
Still kind of nervous, I guess, but to an extent. I mean, I feel as if I'm well prepared to speak.
I mean, that's why we had this prepared in the first place, to be ready to be able to go whenever.
I'm really ready to show them what we have and just to finally be at the moment to where our hard work paid off.
I feel like once we finish up these last couple edits we have here and we have all the stuff together, I feel like we're gonna win. Knock on wood. Oh my gosh. Where's wood?
It's some pressure, but it takes some off, knowing that this is just going to allow me to gain experience. About 70% of millennials receive their information through the internet.
I feel pretty good. I'm just thinking about all things I have to say, all things I'm going to say in the presentation, and not let my team down. As you see last night, Boys II Men had the place sold out. Or we can use more artists.
This gives you a general idea of where we think we should be, closer to 7 million over 20 years with our marketing plan.
It helped to really get the spirit of the symphony. I had a negative view of the symphony before, now I know the positive side and how to accurately reflect that in the presentation.
Let the community know that we are interested in knowing them and endorsing them, supporting them, investing in them.
For North Carolina Symphony, we actually did a really great job. We put all our nervousness aside.
Instead of remixing hip-hop and classical music,
we decided to take a different approach.
Starting with our first topic, marketing.
Another way to increase revenue would be to have art performances.
And we did a great job.
You have to be open to risks or you can't be open to success.
We would like to thank you all for your consideration and your time. Don't forget to dream.
to see the appreciation of this experience on their faces was just priceless. I also hope that they walk away with a knowledge of business foundations and practices, that they understand entrepreneurship and what it takes to truly and successfully launch a business.
When you do programs like this, the first semester of college, the second semester, but by the end, they become a whole lot different and a whole lot better. And I'm just so happy and just so pleased to say that I've been a part of making these students a little bit different and a little bit better.
The only things I lacked were leadership skills and communication and presentation skills. Hopefully by the time it's end, I'll have at least both accomplished.
I think I've learned a lot, and I asked a lot of questions that I didn't think I would want to know the answer to. See that my eyes were more open to career paths.
Going to DC was definitely a memorable experience. I'm getting to sit down with the people who sponsored this program. It's like inspired me. At first I was thinking about I wouldn't start my business till like a little bit after college. But now I'm thinking maybe I can go ahead and really start it now.
I'm extremely proud of Michael, and I teared up during the presentation because of the achievements, the goals that this program has offered him. And I think it's just an amazing opportunity, and I am extremely proud of Michael Lilly.
I think I'll remember most the people. First of all, I've made a lot of friends. With all the people that I've listened to, with all the teachers, a lot of common things that they said was you need to take risks and you need to attack your dreams and attack your goals in life.
Upon completion of this academy, the students are going back with an incredible skill, and my earnest hope is that they're able to truly make a difference in their communities.